Hey everybody, welcome back to the Shovel Knight playthrough. Since we've explored the town, now we have to do the most important thing in the game and go see the Troupple King. So majestic.
So where the fuck did this idea come from, and why is it here?
I do not know. I think they just wanted a way to do energy tanks, and they were like, okay, how are we going to make it fit in a medieval setting? And then they just, I don't know, went nuts.
Don't choose anything other than the red.
I mean,
I actually really like the yellow because it will attract your gold bags when you die. So instead of like if they ever pop up in a place that's really, really obnoxious to get, having a gold chalice on you is really, 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 really helpful. But for the most part, I actually just get my chalices filled by the Trouples you find in the levels, as opposed to going straight to the Troupple King, because, you know, it's just on the way, so I don't have to backtrack over
And thankfully, you don't have to watch this dance more than once if you don't want to.
Yeah, although, if you want to, which, I mean, why wouldn't you? Because look at it.
it's
you can.
majestic.
So into it.
This is some straight up Wonderland bullshit, and, you know, I mean that seriously because I just read Alice's Adventures in Wonderland yesterday. I finished it yesterday, and there's like
fairly well butted, but
like there is a dance sequence toward the end of the book with the mock turtle and the griffin, and it's basically
and then you fish in a spot.
So this was when I first played the game, this was the one that was the one music sheet I couldn't find for the life of me.
Wait, what did he just do?
So if you fish in the pond, you get the music sheet, and then he's like, "What are you doing, mortal?" He gets really upset. So one
good old platformer logic of just go to the left first. This is the one that took me forever to find because ultimately none of the other stages have you go left at any point at the start. So
Oh well, there's one at the first tower level where one of the plague coins was hidden in Plague of Shadows.
Yeah, but I'm talking about in the beginning where Plague of Shadows wasn't a thing.
Yeah, but you can still go over to the left in Shovel Knight, though, is the thing. There's like a chalice there's like a fish over there, and I think some gold or something. I show it off. But yeah, one thing that I do like about Spectre of Torment and Plague of Shadows is that they tell you how many like things are in the level and whether or not you found them, which they haven't implemented that functionality into the main campaign, which is a little bit annoying because like if you're missing one note, you're missing one music note, you don't know where it is,
and the music notes are not inherently tied to an order.
Well, they kind of
are. They kind of are, but not inherently, which is why some of them are not in the same place you would think they would be. Which will throw people off.
Well, like King Knight's boss theme and his stage theme are in his level. So what you have to do?
I'm more talking about like some side ones that aren't in between certain levels or between certain other characters. So it's like, oh, was number 38 in the actual stage, or was it some other thing that I didn't know?
Like if you're lucky and it's just like, okay, you're missing like the boss theme to Tinker Knight or something, it's just like, okay, you can probably find that in Tinker Knight's stage. But, you know, sometimes it's a little bit annoying. So I'm glad that they implemented that feature into the later versions. I just wish that they put it into this one. But, because they have changed the game a little bit, like they added the amiibo support for the Nintendo versions, which I'm not using because it's honestly incredibly broken. If you have a maxed out amiibo, you get certain relics that can like send you straight upwards. And if you watch speedruns, you can basically just jump over every platforming section in the game. It's actually kind of ridiculous.
Which is why most speedruns I know don't actually use it, because it's kind of like, then why bother?
There is one design choice in this game that I particularly like, and it's the fact that you can break the checkpoints for a reward.
Yep.
Yeah, risk versus reward. Sort of
yeah. So
I always break them in the early stages because I never die to these first few.
Yeah,
but
if you're confident, you can get some extra. You can get some extra gems out of every checkpoint you pass, every single goddamn one. But if you break that checkpoint and then die, you get set back farther.
Yeah, and you can't use that checkpoint again at all.
Yeah, so I do end up breaking some checkpoints in this playthrough. For these early stages, I actually don't bother with a lot of them because you can tell how much a checkpoint's worth by its colored flame. It corresponds with a color of gem.
Colored
so like
gem.
the gray ones, you get the least amount of money for
Okay,
those. So
Yeah,
I
they're the
like
10
how
ones.
you get to see like the exact difference of proportion between standard Shovel Knight and female Shovel Knight there, and it's like the space of maybe a couple pixels.
Although my favorite one is actually when you're playing Plague Knight's mode, because it's still Shovel Knight shaped. He just contorts his body to fit the silhouette, which I find hilarious.
Well, Plague Knight is kind of a doof, so.
Plague Knight's a gigantic doof, and I love him. But yeah,
One of his special powers is dancing.
dancing. He has to learn that though. But yeah, so if I don't find a checkpoint like worth it, for example, like if it's a gray one, I leave that be just in case I do die to something stupid. It's just like, okay, well, I'm not gonna get the money for it, but I'm just gonna save myself some potential heartache later.
Headache.
But if it's like worth something and I'm pretty confident that I won't die, then I'll go for it. I do end up being sent back a couple of checkpoints in this playthrough, so you know, don't worry, there will be deaths. This is not a like no death run. I've never done a no death run, but
Well, the nice part is deaths don't really cost, quote unquote, anything.
you lose, I think,
Besides
you
money.
lose a third of your
Yeah,
gold,
they
and you have a
use that,
chance to get it back. But
yeah,
if you die
they use
again,
that.
it's gone.
They use that.
Yeah.
Well, this is an actual legitimate comparison rather than a meme buzzword like it is when everyone else says it. But they use the Dark Souls system, where when you die, you drop stuff where you died, and if you can get back there without dying again, you can get it back.
Yeah.
Yes, but I think the only time that's really ever an issue is if you somehow did something really stupid and died in a weird place, or Propeller Knight Station.
Yeah.
If
God,
it,
Ted, that was pixels away from you falling
yeah,
into that pit.
it's
Yeah.
honestly
it's-
the only annoying part is if like the gem bags like go like underneath the platform, which happened in this playthrough.
It's
I should mention.
it's the same sort of system that Dark Souls employs in the sense that it's supposed to encourage you to correct your mistakes quickly without screwing up again. So that if you can at least make it further than where you died, you'll never actually lose anything. Well, most of the time, unless you die in a weird place, like Ryan said.
Yeah, the game I think of for that kind of system, this just goes to show what I'm interested in, rather than like what game did it first or whatever. But I think Terraria more than Dark Souls, because I just have more experience with that. Like if you die in Terraria, you drop money, I think, as well. Or if you're playing on medium core, you drop items. Which
I don't
is-
think the Souls games invented the player dropped items stuff. I think that's actually a mechanic from old MMORPGs. The really cool.
It was totally
ones
Super
where-
Mario Odyssey, guys.
Dark Souls is the
Yeah,
Dark
you're
Souls is the Terraria of Souls games.
No, I think it's a mechanic that first started in like super old, super brutal MMORPGs where PvP actually meant something.
EverQuest.
Final Fantasy 11 took away experience and items.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I mean, like, in the
so-
sense that you drop it in the world and people can pick it up.
Right. Oh, my experience is all over the floor.
Oh man,
So, how many versions of Shovel Knight do you own, Ted?
3. I own. Okay, so I did back the game on Kickstarter, for which I got my Wii U version. I also believe I got a Steam version as well, which I think I gifted to Lewis actually.
You have a 3DS
I
version.
have that Steam version. I also have the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 version. It's a cross-buy title, actually, so if you have one, you have the other.
But okay, so yeah, I bought the Wii U version, I bought the 3DS version, and I bought the Switch version. But the Switch version, you got to play Spectre Torment early, so you know it's worth it, right? Yeah.
It's something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I own it on a 3DS, Wii U, and Switch.
This is like one of those games where I actually don't mind buying it multiple times, whereas I look at you people buying Sonic 1 30 times, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys?
You'd buy Shovel Knight 30 times if it had something interesting in every port.
Yeah,
Well,
what's
there-
interesting in the 3DS port of Sonic 1?
Listen, we can talk about my idiocy at a later date, but that's not the point of this discussion.
Yeah, the point is how
there are-
idiocy isn't a word.
Yeah, there are...
The point is, Ted, you're going to keep buying this game no matter what systems they port it for.
Probably, yes, 'cause
there
it's
are a
fantastic.
couple more reasons to buy this game multiple times than usual, like version differences and the fact that you're actually supporting the developers when you do so, as opposed to an old game like
Kratos in the
Sonic 1.
PlayStation versions and Battletoads in the Xbox versions.
Yeah, the Nintendo version just has the Amiibo support, unfortunately. Which, I mean, is kind of sad, because the Amiibo is actually, I think, one of the best Amiibo. And, like, for one, in terms of its build quality, it looks fantastic. But also, the actual Amiibo functionality is worth a damn. Like, you actually gain points for it. It takes time and effort, and the rewards you get for it are really cool, as opposed to like, oh, you get a Mario Kart costume. That's neat, I
Treasure
guess.
chests drop out of the air and give you items that you would have spent 5 minutes collecting on your own. Yay.
Yeah, like, honestly, like, I love collecting little toys and stuff, so I'll probably waste money on plenty more amiibo in the future, but I wish that more of them did stuff like Shovel Knight, where you unlock things, you get different cosmetic stuff, you get all sorts of cool things, and I believe in new functionality you also get like a little amiibo fairy friend, which I suppose I could have done, because that doesn't actually really impact much. So, I guess I could have done that, but I honestly just...
Oh, you're confident against Queen Knight, huh?
Queen Knight's easy. Queen Knight's like the easiest boss in the game.
Queen
Sorry,
butt.
Queen
butt.
butt.
Sorry.
Get it right.
Is that a butt on her chest?
Prepare to taste justice. Butt justice.
Butt justice.
Oh, man. I can't... Honestly, like, the one campaign I've been looking forward to the most out of everybody's is King Knight's campaign.
That is the last to come out.
I will say that as far as the gender swap stuff goes, the bosses are much more interesting than Shovel Knight, because it comes down to Shovel Knight's sprite style being too limited to really have much difference, but the bosses have, like, really intricate sprite work in both of their forms, and that I really like.
Yeah,
I enjoy that.
There was an interesting article on how they decided to design the gender-swapped versions, and their code for it was basically, we're going to gender the female versions as much as we gendered the male versions. So for a character like, for a character like Shovel Knight, who it doesn't really matter, their design could fit a man or a woman equally, because it's just armor. They didn't feel the need to change much, but again, for like King Knight, where King is a very masculine thing, they wanted to go for something more feminine. Female
my problem with Shovel Knight is less to do with the design they chose, because I like the designs when I see them in like promotional artwork. It's more that the sprite is too goddamn small.
They were clearly going for the Mega Man proportions, though.
Yeah, and that's something that I could have done without. I mean, well, I'm that scrub who never plays Mega Man, so I really don't care for it. But the other thing is that I don't really feel like it fits with the rest of the game.
Well, maybe whenever in like 10 years, because they're not going to do Shovel Knight for a bit after they finish all the extra stuff, but whenever they get to Shovel Knight 2, maybe 16-bit version X style.
That would probably work out a lot better.
Yeah, honestly, this is probably my favorite Mega Man game, I would have to probably say.
Well, it's one that I can
Well,
actually...
it could be many things. It could be Mega Man, DuckTales, Castlevania, Wizards and Warriors.
Yeah,
Mario.
and I've actually played DuckTales, so I can get that particular vibe.
I find this game far better than DuckTales. I honestly don't like DuckTales very much at all.
Well, yeah, I don't like DuckTales either. Having to pass over the same space to make the collectibles appear and then go back to collect them is a pain in the ass for me specifically.
Oh, it ruined the game for me, because I just feel like I'm jumping around each screen like a moron. Yeah, so I'm basically just trying to go back to the world map every time to get the different collectibles. I'm trying to get, choosing what order to get certain things is kind of important for the first half of the game, but by the time you get to
all sevens, heh.
Yeah, but by the time you get to the second half of the game, where you just have money climbing out the ass, it really doesn't matter what order you get stuff in, because you're just going to have thousands of extra gold by the last couple of stages.
No, you're ignoring the dancing.
No, you have to wait till after.
Oh, that's Spectre. That's Spectre.
If
right,
you talk to the king, though, he's very happy that his Griffin friends will be waiting for him in the castle, and that they didn't get beaten up by a blue guy with a shovel. Also, the food that the gastrometer makes looks really, really gross, and I don't know why anybody would want to eat any of it. But, I mean, it does increase your health bar, so...
It's the old medieval food.
Maximum
you can't be picky.
butt.
Maximum butt.
Yeah.
So,
That sounds
So,
like-
no, it's hitting them when I say shift to maximum butt drive.
It sounds like a spoof. It sounds like a spoof title for a parody action movie that's making fun of one of those really schlocky action films.
this summer, butt justice will be done.
The fractured butthole.
Wait, what's its regular? Never mind.